This is a CBC podcast. Want a weekly roundup of the best CBC radio programming? Subscribe to the CBC Radio 1 newsletter. Get a digest of the week's top stories, read in-depth articles, listen to interviews and documentaries, and get the lowdown on upcoming stories from CBC Radio 1 that you need to hear. To subscribe, go to cbc.ca/radio and look for the subscribe button. The CBC Radio 1 newsletter. Be informed.
Hey Canada, we're going with the flow. From the banks of the Assiniboine River in Brandon, it's the Debaters! The Debaters, where comedians fight with facts and funny, and this audience picks the winner. Now here's a man who will whet your appetite with his dry wit, Steve Patterson!
Hey! Hello, Canada! Welcome back to the Debaters! Always great to be here in Brandon, Manitoba, where there is lots to see and do, but I admit you have some tourism competition from the small town of St. Adolphe, which boasts the world record for largest snow maze. Way to go, St. Adolphe. The maze has boosted numbers not only in tourism, but in the annual census, thanks to the 500 people a year who can't find their way out. Now, are you ready to meet a couple of debaters who are just snow amazing? Let's do it. This Manitoba comic is as friendly as your license plates. Say you are. Say hello to Paul Roblowskis. There he is. Best smile in comedy. Look at that man. And this comic thinks you're okay to throw glasses if you live in a stone house. It's Graham Clark. The one and only Graham Clark.
Hello.
Making his way to the lectern to my right as Paul gets some last-second adjustments there. Your topic is one that could probably only be seriously debated in this province. Slurpees. Are they the best of the frozen treats? Many here will know that in 2018, Manitoba was named the Slurpee capital of the world for the 19th year in a row. 19 years running. Nice work. You consume more Slurpees than anyone. You even named a street in Winnipeg Slurpee Way. Slurpee Way. My favorite intersection in Winnipeg is Slurpee Way and Taquito Boulevard. If you ever witness an accident there, you are encouraged to dial 711. Enough of that. Let's get to this urgent debate. So, whereas they're colorful, customizable, and refreshing, be it resolved that Slurpees are the king of cool treats. Graham, you are arguing for this, please. You have 2 minutes, starting now.
All right. No, too late. The Slurpee. Not since the Crunchy Bar has a treat been so accurately named. Slurping a Slurpee goes hand in hand with my favorite activity, loitering in a parking lot. Canadians buy 30 million Slurpees a year. And if you think that's too much, think of it this way. That poor health decision ensures that we must keep healthcare free forever. What holds a candle to the Slurpee in the frozen treat world? Popsicle? A Freezy? Hope you like getting the sides of your mouth chopped up by that wrapper. Frozen yogurt? Yogurt? Anything that keeps you regular is not a treat. Ice cream? They keep it behind the counter. You have to ask them to scoop it for you, and when they do, it looks like a caveman struggling. Slurpee puts you in control. You can mix all the flavors. You can be the Willy Wonka of your own destiny. Not convinced enough to spend your hard-earned money on a Slurpee? Well, let me tell you something. Every July 11th, 7-Eleven is free Slurpee Day. You tell them Graham Clark sent you. Thank you, Steve.
Graham Clark, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Graham. Now, to tell us why Slurpees leave him out in the cold, it's the very chill Paul Rablowskis.
Thank you. Now, I know I hate being the bad guy. I'm the guy from Winnipeg who hates Slurpees, and you're probably wondering why. And the explanation is simple. They're disgusting. And you're right, Winnipeg is the Slurpee capital of the world. Come on, 19 years in a row. Make some noise. Do you know who came in second place all those years? Nobody. We've been claiming a championship that not one person has tried to fight us for. Not even Regina cares about this title. I'm serious. Not one province or city has ever tried to go toe-to-toe with us, probably because they want to keep all their toes in the end. It's super unhealthy. Did you know the guy who invented the Slurpee died of kidney failure? That should have been a huge red flag. Instead, they just released a raspberry flavor called Red Flag. I've drank a lot of Slurpees in my day. You can tell by my little legs and my big body. You can tell. Anyway, I have a list of things that ruined my life because of the Slurpee. Number 1, trampoline champion. That's all I have on my list. Damn you, Slurpee. That's it.
Paul Rablowskis, ladies and gentlemen. We're in tough for this one. It is time now for the Bare Knuckle Round, a segment that essentially frees up time for jokes. Are Slurpees the king of cold treats? Well, pina colada. If you want to avoid a frosty reception, be prepared to spout off and ice your opponent from your slush fund of one-liners. Now, let's see who gets the last straw.
I love Graham. He's a good friend of mine. I love him with all my heart, and I want him to be around longer, and I mean that. And he loves freezing his brain. It makes no sense to me that you drink something that literally stops your brain from thinking. I literally told Graham, if you want to slam your head on the wall, it's cheaper than brain freeze. Just slam your head on the wall and call it a day, man.
Look, not all of us have a wall to slam their heads up against. And a brain freeze, that's like feeling alive, man.
No, it's
That's
not.
like a vacation from yourself. You don't know where you are.
You can't. Graham, you can't brain freeze your problems away, man.
You sound like my roommate.
No. He doesn't want to listen. I'm going to tell you a quick story. Did you know that the inventor of the Slurpee did it by accident? He was trying to freeze his Coca-Cola, and it ended up becoming slush. And it's kind of like...
Graham.
Are you drinking a Slurpee right now, Graham?
Graham actually has a Slurpee.
Are you drinking
right
a freaking Slurpee?
He has a Slurpee right now. And
That's not legal. He should be... That doesn't even bother me. That doesn't even bother me. That he has... What flavor? Did you mix the flavors?
I
Did you mix
mixed
the
the
flavors?
Oh, it's a mix.
I feel like...
Graham did.
I did it! Brain freeze!
Okay. That's the Bare Knuckle Round, ladies and gentlemen. Graham going for product placement here in the Slurpee debate. It is time now for the firing line. In my hand, I have a list of questions on Slurpees brought to you by the Sherpie. The only Slurpee made with ice from Mount Everest. In 2012, 7-Eleven launched the Slurpee Light as a healthy option to the original. What two contradictory claims brought its nutritional value into question? Paul.
Number 1, it's better than water. And number 2, brain freeze isn't that bad when you've got a crippling drug addiction.
Audience has given you 3/4 of a point. Graham Clark.
Slurpee Light is a better way to start your day than crystal meth, right?
Pretty close. Give me a point for that. The two contradictory claims that brought its nutritional value into question were natural flavors and 0% juice. The very first Slurpee machine was powered by an old what? Paul.
An old white guy who had terrible kidneys.
Incorrect. Graham.
It was an old mule, and their kidneys were fine.
The actual answer, the very first Slurpee machine was powered by an old air conditioner. Just as delicious as it sounds. That's the firing line, everybody. Just about time again for our Brandon, Manitoba theater audience to pick a winner. But first, here again to tell us why he gives the cold shoulder to Slurpees, it's the always cool Paul Roblowskis.
All right. I get it, Brandon. I get it. You're not worried about destroying your health with the Slurpees, but shouldn't you be worried about destroying the environment? And I know you're like, oh no, is he going to guilt us? Yeah, damn right I'm going to guilt you right now. We're going to talk about the environment. You guys remember that? That's the thing you took from native people a long time ago. Think about it, though. Honestly, think about all the plastic that goes into making the Slurpee cup and how much of that plastic ends up in our rivers. Think about the state of the Red River. There's more plastic floating around in the Red River than there is on Peter Nygaard's face right now. That is a lot of plastic. Maybe my brain has finally thawed from taking a bunch of years off of drinking Slurpee, but I'm thinking different. I'm thinking, imagine if we clean up all our rivers and lakes from all the plastic that maybe one day we'll actually be able to drink from it. And I know that sounds crazy, Brandon. You're like, but we wash our Camaros with that. No. We clean up the river, one day we might be actually to drink the freaking water. And I hate to say that, I hate to be the guy who goes against his hometown, but the Slurpee sucks, and I mean that literally.
Paul Roblowskis, ladies and gentlemen, with an excellent closing argument. And you got real there, buddy. You got real. All right, Graham, let's see what you have to say about this. Here again to tell us that Slurpees are the chilly treat that can't be beat. It's the always refreshing Graham Clark.
All right. Slurpees are intergenerational. My fondest memory was going with my grandfather to get Slurpees, which he called slushies. And he also called Swiss Chalet Chicken Charlie. So there was, I don't know. Maybe it was years of brain freeze catching up with him. I'm not sure. But you know how I know the next generation is going to be okay? I was on a Slurpee message board, which is not illegal for me to do. And I discovered that kids today will fill up a Slurpee cup to the very brim, and then they will get a large lid, and they will put it on the cup upside down and fill it with more Slurpee. The kids are going to be all right. Slurpees are kosher, halal, served around the world, and bow to no frozen treat. Thank you.
Graham Clark. He's passionate about the Slurpees, and it's a pretty nice life hack that he's just taught us. With the Slurpee cup and inverted lid, lets you get more Slurpee, and the kids know it. And so does one adult man. All right. Audience, it is up to you to pick the winner. By applause, who thinks that Graham's Slurpee slinging slayed in this debate? Graham Clark. Nice support for Graham. And who thinks Paul's Slurpee slamming sold this one? Paul Roblowskis. Well, the crowd has spoken. The Brandon crowd's on the side of a man from Winnipeg. The winner is Paul Roblowskis, everybody. Big hand for Paul Roblowskis and Graham Clark.
You're listening to The Debaters on CBC Radio. Did you know you can get past episodes of The Debaters on iTunes? Go to cbc.ca/The Debaters to find out how. And now, back to Steve Patterson.
Hey, Brandon, are you ready to meet your next pair of debaters? All right, let's do it. This comic is a real jokesmith. Welcome, Dana Smith. Dana Smith. There she is. Smiling, confident, and ready, she takes the lectern to my left. And with this colorful comic, there are no gray days. It's Tim Gray. Tim Gray, there he is. He looks confident and happy, too. Your topic is the honeymoon. Should every newlywed couple take one? Now, Tim and Dana, you two are married. Did you know that? Yes.
Yes.
In fact, you were married in Winnipeg after a debate on our show that asked whether or not you two should get married. This is a real thing. So, Tim, you won that one big time.
Yes, that is correct, Steve.
And Dana, you basically had to bend to mob rule.
Well, there were more of them than me, Steve.
She's quite excited, Tim. Canada fell in love with you two that day, and that's why you're back to debate the honeymoon, which apparently you disagreed on that as well, Tim. Is that true?
Yes, that's right. And we've decided we're going to solve all of our arguments on the radio.
No, we will not.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Settled.
Tim gave that one to Dana, so he's learning already. Good for him. Let's get to this. Whereas the memories will outlast everything else, be it resolved that all newlyweds should take a honeymoon. Tim, you are arguing for this. You have 2 minutes, please, starting now.
I'm the biggest hopeless romantic there is. Of course, I'm pro honeymoons. Like, Dana won't even tell me when she's going to the airport anymore because I always show up at the terminal and feel compelled to yell out to a terminal full of people, "I love you, Dana Claire Christensen Smith. I always have." To which Dana usually replies, "Yeah, we're on the same flight." And we're married. Dana, for the record, Dana and I had the most incredible honeymoon. We hiked up the 4th largest mountain in Europe. We stayed in the 6th best wine region in France. We passed through Germany. What I'm saying is plan ahead, folks, okay? It books up quick. Apparently Europe is a popular place to travel. Honeymoons are essential after the stress of planning a wedding. You know, it's like holding in your fart all day. Big fart crowd, eh, Brandon? The honeymoon that Dana and I embarked on was truly some of the happiest moments of my life. And that's not just because I was 6 time zones away from my in-laws. Thank you, 1950s, for that joke. It's because we had 2 weeks to celebrate our new life together as a married couple and begin navigating the crazy, wild ride that is divorce.
Tim Gray, that's where he's going to end that one. Tim Gray has ended an opening argument on behalf of honeymoons against his wife with an impending divorce joke. I like it. Not sure where to go exactly with this one. I'm going to give it 6.67 points. Way to go, Tim. Good start. Now, to tell us that the honeymoon is over, and thank God for that, it's bodacious bride, Dana Smith.
Last debate, I was against weddings. Now I'm against honeymoons. I don't want the listeners to think I'm against everything, just things that involved him. The best part of a honeymoon are the things that we could have easily achieved at home. Delicious food, beautiful surroundings, and being treated like royalty. It's almost like you're saying Red Lobster doesn't exist. Going on a honeymoon to start off the marriage is a false start. It's like buying a beautiful sports car. That first month is great until you get home, and then you find out that it leaks gas constantly. It doesn't work half the time. And it's surprisingly small. Okay, to be fair, our honeymoon was awesome. But that's because halfway through, 2 of my friends joined me and Tim went home. It was incredible. But honeymoons are an insane amount of time to spend with just one person. Getting married and going on a honeymoon is the equivalent of announcing to the world that you like pancakes, and then for 2 weeks doing nothing except eating pancakes and hanging out with pancakes and laughing at pancakes jokes. 24 hours a day. I love pancakes, and pancakes are hilarious. But pretty soon, I'm not going to want to have pancakes inside me. My name is Dana Smith, and I hate everything you love. Thank you.
Dana Smith. Dana Smith with a lot to unpack in that opening argument. I'm going to give Dana 7.35 points for that. She's in the lead, 7.35 to 6.67. It is time now, of course, for the bare knuckle round. We're debating if honeymoons are overrated, so before you make a quick getaway in this all-inclusive argument, make sure you give your opponent a swift kick in the nuptials. You've each groomed yourselves for victory, so don't be afraid to show your pride and prejudice.
Let me just jump in there and address the compact car comment. Sure, it may be surprisingly small, but, you're not going to take it to a car show, but it'll get you where you need to go.
Yeah, you just need to boost it a couple times.
Maybe it's not small. Maybe it's just the garage is too big.
Okay. All right.
Hey.
Oh, we've lost a lot of listeners.
Oh, boy.
Dana, how could you be against honeymoons? Because the honeymoons are just an excuse to travel, and you love to travel.
Well, yeah, but I like traveling with my single friends. That's awesome. We get free drinks. They go home with some sexy local, and I get to go back to the hotel and watch Criminal Minds. Everyone gets off.
As usual, I feel awkward in this situation. Does anyone have any other honeymoon points?
No.
I love you, Dana.
I love you too.
And that's the bare knuckle round, everybody. Time now for the firing line. In my hand, I have a list of questions on honeymoons brought to you by Moon Honey. Neil Armstrong's answer when his wife asked him where he was going for a walk. In 19th century Britain, the purpose of a honeymoon was to complete what task? Dana.
To throw the ring into the fires of Mordor.
Incorrect, but I like it. Tim.
To avoid a midwife crisis.
Nice.
Oh.
Thanks, Dana.
I'm glad you two found each other. The purpose of a honeymoon in 19th century Britain was to visit family who couldn't attend the wedding. That was it. Kim Kardashian says that during her honeymoon with NBA basketball player Chris Humphries, she figured out what? Dana.
That she was surprisingly buoyant.
I like that one. Tim.
How much fun making home movies can be.
That's good, too. She figured out that the marriage wouldn't last during the honeymoon. It lasted 72 days. The word honeymoon has origins in the tradition of a couple doing what during their first moon on their marriage?
Ooh.
That might just be the answer. Is that the answer, Tim? That sound?
Covering their bodies in honey and then immediately regretting it.
That's pretty good. You fit meat in there. I'm going to give you 1.5 for that. Dana.
Throwing bees at each other and then immediately regretting it.
But we did have fun.
Yeah, it was a good one. It was a good time.
The word honeymoon has origins in the tradition of a couple drinking mead, which is a honey-based drink. Stupid! That is the firing line, everybody. All right. It is almost time for our Brandon audience to vote again, but first, here to tell us that she gives the heave-ho to honeymoons, it's the wedded and witty Dana Smith.
Friend trips are better than honeymoons. Let's be real. At some point in every couple's trip, each of them thinks, man, I really wish someone else was here. There's only so many times I can hear Tim's opinion on Fast and the Furious before zoning out. Our whole life is a honeymoon. There are so many more important things to a marriage, like kissing each other good morning or having breakfast together, or when we go on national radio to debate whether we have children. Thank you, I'm the best one.
Dana Smith throwing down again and maybe giving a preview of our next debate with Tim and Dana on this show. Now, to tell us why he's over the moon about honeymoons, it's marrying man himself, Tim Gray.
Everybody knows the honeymoon phase is the apex of a relationship. It's the climax. Like, not going on a honeymoon after a wedding is all the fun without the climax. Our honeymoon was nothing short of pure magic. Well, the part of it I was allowed to be at anyways. I can't really speak for that second half as I was not invited. Although I did try to join, I showed up at the airport. Dana, don't get on that plane. I love you. And she's on the plane. And she's in the window. And now she's mooning me. That's fun for everybody. When you're on a honeymoon, you only have to do 3 things. Eat, drink, and be married. Thank you. I'm the best one.
Tim Gray. Tim Gray is all for honeymoons. His wife Dana is all against it. Let's see whose side the crowd is on. By applause, who thinks that Tim's honeymoon hilarity had this one? Tim Gray. And who says I do to Dana's anti-honeymoon hits? Dana Smith. All right. The crowd in Brandon has spoken. They do not like honeymoons. They do like Dana. We're not sure if they like Tim. That's this one. Tim Gray and Dana Smith, everybody. Well, that's all for this week. I'm Steve Patterson saying it's never too late to honeymoon, which is why my wife is still waiting for ours 8 years later. I'll argue with you again soon, Canada. Good night.
The Debaters, created by Richard Side. Produced this week by Graham Clark, Nicole Callender, Katie Ellen Humphreys, and Josh Bailey. Technical production by Brian Harder and Lloyd Peterson. Executive producer of CBC Radio Comedy is Tracy Rideout. And thanks to everyone at the WMCA in Brandon. Hey, Cape Breton, The Debaters is coming to you. We'll be at the Savoy Theatre in Glace Bay on June 25th. For details, visit our website. We're cbc.ca/thedebaters.
For more CBC podcasts, go to cbc.ca/podcasts.